Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Metal Gear Rising Revengeance Blade Wolf DLC Revengeance difficulty video walkthrough. The purpose of these videos is to help people beat the piece of content in under an hour, and you will get, I believe it's called the Fangs of Fury achievement. So that's a bit of a mouthful, as you can tell. I'm probably going to just say Blade Wolf DLC on the next ones, just to save that just nonsense of jargon. But the very beginning of this DLC is extremely tricky because there's two mastiffs off to your right, and the amount of times they spotted me and immediately killed me, I couldn't even count it on both hands. You know, there was some real bad situations happening. But a couple of things you need to be aware of in order to keep your time down. Every time you die, it checkpoints, and it saves the time that you've wasted in that life. So, for instance, at the very beginning here, this is probably one of the more challenging parts of the DLC because you don't have any nano paste just yet, which stops you from dying. So every time you get touched, it's effectively a one-hit kill. And every time you die, however long you played for is added to your overall time. So this first section is probably the most important sequence. And for the most, I'm going to be trying to show you a competent path to stealth your way through most of the missions. This is not going to be a speedrun. This is not going to be, you know, never spotted, maximum stealth bullshit or anything like that. This is just literally me getting through the DLC in under an hour in a way that anybody can emulate, and hopefully if you're looking for that achievement and you're having problems, then you can follow these videos and get it quite comfortably. Because the content, when done successfully, is extremely short. Like, when you're playing it, it takes time, but when you look back on what you've played, there's not too much game in this piece of content, and I do think it is quite easily the weakest part of Metal Gear Rising's DLC. Mainly because I think the Wolf, Fenrir, or whatever you want to call him, L896I, or whatever his name is, was such a cool character. It could have been really different gameplay. They could have used it in some really imaginative and interesting ways, and for the most, it's all pretty simple and standard to what you've played before. Like, you can use items like this, which, you know, you could do before, and the blades are quite interesting and fun. You get quite a lot of them if you're looking for them. I expected an on-rails section where you were running and dodging debris and, you know, rockets and stuff. I don't know what I expected. I expected just more, I guess. And I didn't get it, unfortunately, but that's not to say that the content is bad. It suffers from the same problems that a lot of Metal Gear Rising stuff does, whereas, you know, if you don't play it for a while and you come back, the camera is something you've got to learn to appreciate, is the politest way I can put it, because there are moments where it just hates you. It's just the biggest racist, and you are whatever ethnicity this racist happens to hate, if not all of them, and he just, you know, he won't even look at you, he won't even give you that respect. The camera is everywhere, it's horrendous. And it only really happens, you only really feel it in small spaces. And every piece of DLC I've seen for this game has put you in some of the smallest areas you've ever fought in. So this sequence here is a stealth moment. I'm going to throw one of the RP grenades, which are one of the best grenades on the game because they stop the enemies from being able to track you, essentially, and allow you to do this. So you press the button to open the doors, and all you have to do is stand on the goal point, and you will hit a checkpoint, and you will finish that entire sequence. As you can tell, there's no damage bonus, there's no, you know, not discovered bonuses, even though that was a no damage, no discovered run. The reason for that is I had no nano pastes, and I continued a whole bunch of times before I got that clip. So this sequence here, I like to run over to this doorway to lure the... Is it called a Cyclops, this guy, or a Raptor? I can't remember. I think it's a Raptor. And I'd not played this game in months, so my parry timing was just not there at all. Be careful of the purple. It's one of those attacks that you can't really do much about it except for get the hell away from it. And just be aware that this enemy is very evasive, so even if you do land a parry, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get the riposte. And you're going to notice too that I don't really go for the Zandatsus. My blade bar with Wolf is at its base level, and I'm rusty as all hell, so when it comes to, you know, hitting those Zandatsus and moving that analog, it's just not natural to me at this moment, so you're going to see some pretty piss poor Zandatsu play throughout this walkthrough, but that's one of the things I like about this game, the fact that I can come back to it having, after, you know, I've done some ridiculous things with the game and still, you know, get my ass kicked because I'm not up to scratch to play the game. You might have noticed as well just then that the world got all foggy, and that's because this Cyclops dude hit one of the fire extinguishers, which you can use to your advantage because it acts as a kind of an RP grenade. The only problem with it is, though, is when you're in combat, it'll only stun him for a certain amount of time, and for the most, he'll still try and attack you, so you can still get hit. It's not completely safe. But I don't know if you spotted that then. I did the YB counter with a full blade bar, and it missed. Like, because we were in this weird piece of geometry here, because what I found I was having trouble with on this sequence when I was trying to stealth it is I would get all the way down to this room where there was just two guys patrolling and one of the Cyclopses, and the Cyclops would always get a sloppy hit on me and kill me. So I decided to do what I just did then. After I killed the first Cyclops, instead of going for the hammer guy and clearing that room, I decided to come over here, aggro the Cyclops, and then divide and conquer from then on. And it worked pretty well. My only complaint about this entire sequence is the developers felt the need to put a ton of these cameras in, and the cameras, I think, should die in one hit. I don't think you should have to hit them 3 times. Especially when you juggle combo in the air, keeps you in mid-air, so the cameras themselves can spot you while you're hitting them, which I suppose is realistic, but there's nothing realistic about this game, and it's not one of the main tenets that people play it for. But in all, I think this DLC is tough gameplay-wise because it's challenging, but it's short enough so that I don't think you're going to have too much of an issue with it. The real issue you'll probably have will be trying to get the no damage achievement or trophy against the boss of the DLC, because the boss is not hard, he's tricky. That's what I would say. Like this section here, I think this is the hardest part of the game on this DLC. And it's nothing to do with combat, it's completely to do with platforming. For some reason, the devs wanted the DLC to have this rather long platforming sequence, and this is a game where you never platform. You might run up things or jump up things, but you never really had to platform too much, unless you were getting ambitious and you were looking for collectibles or hard to find things. You never had to do it. That right there, you see that, guys? I jumped towards this dude to get an execution, and the execution happened on the wrong guy, so you'll notice I spun the camera expecting to be detected, and it didn't work. It didn't detect me, I got quite lucky, but an easier way of doing that is if you just wait on the corner for the Mastiff who's the most to the left to approach, so you can execute him, then you can kill the other guy, and it's nowhere near as nerve-wracking as that sequence just was for me. When that's done, execute both of these fellas. You'll notice I'm not moving quickly because I don't know if they'll be able to hear me, because I'm a little bit paranoid when it comes to stuff like that. And then all that's left to be done is some awkward jumps as this guy, and you'll notice I'm trying to get my controls, down with the sprinting and the running, because the jump that I'm about to make involves, sprinting on top of a small space to get up speed and then jumping at the last possible instant, and it's a hell of a lot trickier than I want it to be. I don't really see why they added it at all. But that's just me. Maybe you think this is the most fun aspect of the DLC. I really don't. And I think this is the biggest enemy to, time. Because if you're going to drop off as many times as I did, and I dropped off a bunch of times here, guys, trying to do this, like, you're wasting time that you need to get through the DLC in an hour. And it's just, I didn't enjoy it. And also, on this sequence here, because I messed up a few times, it spawned enemies, and I've never had enemies spawn on this sequence before. You'll notice there's 2 shield guys over here, there's Mastiffs on the ground, and I'd never seen them before, so if you don't see enemies in your playthrough, it means you're doing a better job than I did. And if you do see enemies, just ignore them, do what I'm doing, use the high road, you'll completely skip them, and all you need to do is jump across to this, which can be quite awkward. You can jump through these mines, you can probably jump through the other ones, I just didn't want to risk it, and there is the worst part of the DLC for me. No damage, no alert clear, and an S rank for some strange reason. But that is the end of the first of these 3 sections, so thank you for watching, guys. I hope it's helping, even though it's incredibly late, and as always, you take care now.